The goal of Roots of Loving Us, I think there's a lot of them. I think one of our major goals in the creating of Roots of Loving Us is maybe the widespread distribution of love, a way at which we might actually kind of have a practice for it, a way that maybe we have portraits of love and loving in ways that we hadn't actually maybe seen before. And so Roots of Loving Us is a way at which we might be in conversation about loving as a greater practice, fostering care, foster care, both as a system as it's historically existed, but maybe as a new system, as an ecological way at which we're interconnected in the ways that we love each other so deeply and choose this loving, that we are one another's foster care system, that adopting happens beyond the legalities of a parental structure. Adoption comes because we're friends, because I choose you, because I adopt my dog, I adopt my pet, but I adopt my neighborhood. I adopt my community. I adopt deeply because I choose to love at that level. And that loving is so cellular that it's bioadaptive. And that when we choose to love with that kind of intentionality, we are each other's foster care systems. And in that, we are always each other's family.
I feel like a lot of times when we talk about activism and we talk about social justice, it's like there's a top down approach of like, here's a tree of change and we're gonna water it up here. And we're just gonna hope, we're gonna pray that the water ends up being a state of being, of presence, of not falling into like toxic capitalist circle of like work, because that's what they want from us. They just want us to work. They don't want us to be here. They don't want us to experience. They don't want us to live. They don't want us to connect. They want us to succumb to this cycle of just exhaustion, fatigue, sadness. They could use us for that to just like have a different kind of tree that's not for life, that isn't sustaining growth.
You just be with people, wide open invitation to experience different kinds of practices and processes. We'll get to travel around to different residencies, but wherever we go, opening up the doors and inviting people to be with us so that we get as many opportunities to be with.
We all need to learn that there's power behind community and culture and just representation, and that our bodies as Black and brown bodies is resistance. And not even just like our bodies as artists, as bodies that can like produce something for the world to see, for an audience to see as representation. Learning to love our bodies, our stories, and everybody else's stories around us. And that's what dance really is, very special. Social empathy that you can generate within yourself for other human beings just through movement is insane. That's where the artivism comes from. It's from being able to really like understand yourself, understand your positionality as a human, understand your stories, heal from your stories so that you have room to gain empathy and gain love for people that you don't know. I didn't know any of these people before I came here. After one night, I felt like they were all family, and like that's what the mission is.
Hi, I'm Holly Johnston. I am the somatic ecologist for Contra Tiempo. I am an artist. I am a maker, choreographer. I am a mother. I am a dancer, movement artist, and I think in the most optimistic and ideal ways, I hope I'm a really good troublemaker.
Contra Tiempo has definitely provided a space where we can just create, make mistakes, and play. I think that's one of my favorite things that they offer us is a space for play. It doesn't feel like we're coming into a dance workshop or a rehearsal or intensive or anything, because a lot of times those spaces can feel very intimidating. It's great because we're just conversing the plane of what it is to be an artist. Something that Holly had said was that our bodies and our brains, like there's so much that you can explore within space. Even just within the first night of movement exploration, I feel like I was able to not only explore my physical full body in ways that I hadn't yet, with the guidance that she was giving us, with the energy of the people in the room around us.
To be with Contra Tiempo and creating Roots of Loving Us, there's this way that we've gotten to invite community members to be with us in different layers, different iterations of what it is that we're just cultivating. First, this like groundwork, this land layer, this soil kind of understanding and relationship. We're doing that first. So, kind of this soil ecology is how are we really connected to soil? The practice of dancing and the connection to my spirituality, I think for sure, are incredibly interconnected. I think that the ways at which our bodies inform our sense of being in the world, how our bodies are an enactment of the things that we believe, I think that dancing is an intentional practice at the ways at which we might enact or assemble our belief system, how we might actually be in fuller expression of our spirituality. And although perhaps I don't necessarily name it as a spirituality, I think it is undeniable that dancing is of spirit and that the practice of dancing and being my body is in fact, yeah, a spirited experience.
Dance has a very special way of connecting yourself within yourself again. I always say this thing because I'm also a dance teacher. I always say that art is like a tangible souvenir that you bring back from another universe. Dance is a very special kind of souvenir that you get to bring back because it's not just something that you utilize other mediums for. You don't have to have a paint, you don't have to have a camera or a microphone. It's your body. To be able to have that souvenir kind of channeled through you, through your movement, is something really special, really beautiful. The act of creating within your own entity is something very powerful and very beautiful that I think that everybody should be able to experience. I think that this workshop is a very great foundation for planting those roots for something really beautiful to just grow and sprout with the roots of loving us. The creation, the play, the exploration, all of that comes from the roots. It comes from the soil.
When we are considering what is the rehearsal process like, what are the many ways that we're preparing to bring the work into a place of sharing, a place at which it feels like our preparation has been deep enough, meaningful enough that we invite you into a place where we feel like we have something that we've given enough depth, honor, and dignity to, that it feels like it's time to bring you into this space with us. So the rehearsal process requires a lot, just like gardening, a lot of cultivation, a lot of soil digging in the dirt, a lot of stuff that you don't know, a lot of growth that happens gravitropically towards gravity down into the dark, often before it can move yet into the light, yet towards the phototropic. So our rehearsal process often feels like it's just digging in the dirt, adding some compost, some fertilizer, and digging down into our roots and allowing for that mycelium to spread, to give us the strength to actually push up towards something that maybe can kind of be more visible as an artwork or something that actually kind of stands outside of how it feels to just be a living being carrying this story.
The rehearsal process is very different because it's such a conversational environment. Like, I'm used to having a leader in charge, giving their visual onto people to make their visual come to life. Even though we have our amazing facilitators and our mentors, they haven't put themselves over our bodies, which I really appreciate. I think the movement doesn't come from just what's going on in their minds, but the movement is coming from the concept being put on our bodies to explore as a community and as a whole. This rehearsal process has been very authentic. It's been very communicative, an exchange of stories, emotions. It's been very eye-opening, has encouraged me to open my mind more as an artist, to be able to actually exert my input, my stories, my memories into a piece is insane. It's very freeing.
What challenges have we encountered in creating the piece or even just beginning to create the piece? So many of the challenges perhaps just came first in resourcing the work. It's one of the hardest and most unfortunate parts of the inception or conception process of being an artist or making artwork is to wonder how you'll feed it, how you'll nourish it,